morning, we're staying on top of a nationwide outbreak of meningitis. It's linked to tainted steroid injections from a specialty pharmacy in Massachusetts. More than 100 people are infected, 9 people have died, and 2 of those people are from Michigan. This morning, I'm joined by Dr. Dobbie, an infectious disease specialist with Spectrum Health Medical Group. Thank you for joining us early this morning.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about meningitis. There are different forms. What do we need to know?
Well, meningitis is inflammation of the membranes and the fluid around the brain and spinal cord. That's usually from infection. The more common types of meningitis are from several types of bacteria. One of those bacteria is meningococcus, and that's one that we would emphasize is important to immunize adolescents and college students before they go away to college. Viral meningitis, or viral infections of the central nervous system, would be an example of that would be West Nile virus. The late summer and early fall is also an epidemic period of time for some other types of viral infection. Fungal infection in the brain and the membranes around the brain is really very unusual. The particular outbreak we are looking at here is something that's related only to the fact that there's direct inoculation of this mold type of fungus into the area around the spinal cord, around those membranes, and there also has been a case reported in a joint because sometimes this medication is put into joints to reduce inflammation there.
Do people in West Michigan need to be afraid about this?
Well, the key point is it's not the procedure, it's not the drug, it's a contaminated drug. There are 4 sites in the state of Michigan that have received lots of this contaminated drug. So if someone has received an injection from one of those 4 sites, none of them are in West Michigan, then there would need to be concern about whether that infection could have occurred.
Let's go back to bacterial meningitis because I believe it's interesting. This is something that's newer in the last few years about really pushing for parents to get their kids and college students a shot before they go off to school, because this is something that can spread easily. Talk about that.
Well, that's something that in adolescents and young adults, meningococcal meningitis is something that occurs more frequently in that age group.
Okay.
That truly can be a very acute and devastating infection. There are some ways to reduce the chance of that having been transmitted. That can occur in situations where there's a close clustering of people at risk, and
like
college dormitories
Sure.
meet that requirement. So that's certainly something that can be a devastating infection and something that the risk of that can be reduced by being sure that immunization has occurred.
So call your doctor and have your young adult scheduled for an appointment.
Correct.
Is that your advice? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Doctor, thank you for joining us this morning.